Questions?
That's so cool how you dropped down. That was so cool. You dropped down like without even like thinking about it. That was so good.
I've said to myself going into it, okay, I know what the interval relationships are. For example, I know the bottom three strings are a C minor chord. And because of the way that the chord is structured, those extra three notes that I've thrown on top actually trace out a B flat major chord. Right? So this is just to be totally professorial on you, this is an open-voiced C minor triad, which means it has the third on top instead of in the middle. It goes La 1 5 3. So instead of 1 3 5 1 3 5, I'm putting 3 way up high. So it's the old Beach Boys trick. The third on top, and then the top three strings, F B flat D, is a second inversion B flat chord. Okay, so instead of B flat D F, instead of being in root position, and it doesn't even have the third on the bottom. It's not D F B flat. It's F B flat D. So the fifth is on the bottom. So I say to myself going into it, okay, well those are things I can tap into if I want to. So here's major chords. Anywhere up and down the neck. And here's minor chords anywhere. Sounds like a Batman movie. Ever notice that? All those superhero movies, whenever there's like, a scene at night or whatever where they're broodingly walking along, not knowing that they're about to be hit with glue or whatever it is they're about to do. And that's all the soundtrack ever is. A whole bunch of minor chords that are just whatever minor. Yeah, it's like the orchestrators. Let's throw everyone in there. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Who's playing what? Yeah, minor chord. No, totally unrelated. Anyway, it's hilarious. I sit there, and I guess how much of a geek I am. I actually listen to movie music and go, it's a whole bunch of minor chords. So I know that going in. So I have those tools at my disposal. So, like for example, in that one of those tunes. Those major triads to effect there, because they were there, and then you can turn it into a minor triad easily enough. It's a lot of tools you can use right there, just at your disposal, and that's more working with instinct rather than saying that's a B flat chord, that's a B flat chord, that's an F chord, that's a G minor chord. I mean, I know that, but that's not what I'm thinking when I play it. I'm thinking that's 1, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6, that's 3, that's 2, that's 1. Much easier. Then it can be in any key, it doesn't matter. Right? So worrying about individual note names isn't as important when you're in an alter tuning. Anyway, I'm answering your questions in very even Batman-related ways. More questions?
What's the difference in that guitar?
That guitar over there, I should play it for you. This is a standard pitch guitar, and it's the most recent guitar that Mark Beneteau made for me, and it's cedar and some kind of fancy maple on the back. It's called something maple. Sapele, or whatever. I forget what it's called.
Sapele.
Yeah, is that it?
Yes, Sapele.
Yeah, I have no idea. I just play them. I don't know what they're made of or how they're made. People say, what kind of wood is that? It's brown. Literally, I have no idea. It's like computers. I've been using them all my life. I know how to use them. Don't ask me how they work. I have no clue. I can drive a car too. So, this guitar, made by the same builder, same body size, different kind of neck, obviously. This is a baritone guitar. And otherwise, it's quite similar. It has the arm bevel. It has the beer hold sound port. But you've maybe seen multi-scale guitars before. It's called a multi-scale system or a fan fret system. And the whole point is that the thicker strings are also longer. So what that gives you an advantage for, it's a poorly constructed sentence, is that, more bad construction, you can tune the strings quite a bit lower on the bottom, and they still retain a lot of tension. And so that way, you can get a really profound fundamental that's still shouting out at you, rather than the strings just when you tune it down. So, I'm in a really low tuning now. So, and a baritone, of course, is tuned 4 scale steps lower than a regular guitar. So it's somewhere between a guitar, a standard guitar, and a bass. So something at the halfway point. So does anybody play, for example, does anybody ever play a horn, like a sax or anything like that? No? I'm trying to find in families of instruments, of course, you have different ranges. So for example, sax players, if you play soprano sax, that's what's called a B-flat instrument. So when you see the middle C written on the page, and you blow into your sax fingering a C, it actually comes out at B-flat. So it's actually pitched a whole tone lower than what you see, and that's for range reasons. Okay, so that's the B flat soprano sax. You can take that exact same fingering and apply it to the tenor saxophone, say, which is a much larger instrument. You read it the same way. You see a C, comes out of B flat, but it's an octave lower, right? So it's in a different range. So those two instruments, very often alto players double on tenor and vice versa, because they are read the same and you think the same way in terms of keys. If you're an alto sax player, you're playing what's called an E flat instrument. So you're playing the same fingerings for the C that you see on the page, except you blow into it. Instead of a B flat, you get an E flat. The whole point is that just like singers, like men and women have different octaves of voice, and some women have higher voices, some women have lower voices, some men have higher voices, some men have lower voices. When you get into a choir, you got sometimes 4, sometimes 5 different parts, and everybody's singing in different clefs and different ranges, but it's all the human voice. It's the same with saxophone. So they're all saxes. They're all essentially the same instrument, but different ranges, and they say they end up being able to play different parts of the audible range. The guitar is very set up the same way. The guitar that we play most of the time is more or less a baritone tenor kind of instrument, right? But it can play very high, so you can get up into soprano range. Whereas on this guitar, instead of the highest string being an E, on this one it's a B. That's the way I tuned it anyway. So the highest 5 strings are tuned almost like a regular guitar. It's a B on the top, and then an F sharp instead of a G. But then D, A, E. That's the bottom 5. And the very bottom string is tuned way down to a B. And I have to get a custom string for that one. So what I do is I use the 5 lowest sounding strings from a medium gauge set for the 5 higher ones. And in the 6th position, I use a 66 gauge. So it's quite a thick string. And right now I have this in a very 9th ring of Saturn kind of tuning. I tune one of that. I'm hearing a snare, right? Yeah, the snare's on. Whenever I hit a lower-ish note, the snare goes. I thought it was my guitar, and I thought, no, it's the snare. That's funny. Yeah, so this guitar, like I say, normally is B, E, A, D, F sharp, B. But right now it's in yet another minor 11th tuning, but voiced differently. So this is a A flat minor 11th tuning. Again, really huge, lush. Now, with this guitar, of course, the bridge is at this angle going this direction, and the nut is at the opposite angle, so that helps compensate to make the scale quite a bit longer in the lower strings without, for example, if the nut were straight, the bridge would have to be at just an absolutely absurd angle. So in order to keep the angle reasonable, you also angle out the nut. And as a result, the frets are all, each string is a different scale, length. So that's why the frets do what they do. And it also looks like you just walked into a Dali painting or something. This particular guitar, too, I said to Mark, I said, just go for it. Why don't you even make it sunburst? I'd never really cared about sunburst finishes, but I said, when this one gets stolen, I'll probably get it back, because it's the only one that looks like this. So it either makes you think of 1930s Nick Lucas, very collectible Gibson guitars, or 2011 Walmart Chinese knockoffs. I'll play a little bit of something on this. standard tuning, like I said, great compromise, worked out over the eons. Essentially, standard tuning is the same as bass tuning, right? People all know that. Play upright bass or bass guitar. It's tuned an octave lower than the 4 bottom strings in your guitar. E, A, D, G. And then on the guitar, because we wanted things to work out a certain way, over the course of 6 strings, we wanted there to be the same pitch name on the first string as the 6th string. We made the compromise of throwing a 3rd interval in there just to screw with your head, right? So, because everything else is a 4th. And even this is a 4th. But this, no, that's not a 4th. What is it? It's a major 3rd. So, if we tuned all in 4ths, which some jazz players do,
C and F.
that would be your standard tuning. That's all 4ths, right? It just makes things a little weird if you're used to the standard tuning. But it can play an F chord really easily now. But the nice thing about this tuning, and I don't have enough experience in it to worry about it, but it simplifies the playing of all your scales. Like for example, there you don't have to make that weird skip for the 3rd interval. Pretty. Yeah. Whatever it is. Anyway, it's so much simpler that way. Now, so that's relatively close to standard tuning, but different.